So next step, drop a scatter and align, which is a new node. And it's a bit counterintuitive, but we need to plug into the right input here, because what we're going to do, we're not going to actually scatter points. Okay. We're going to be adding attributes to it, existing point cloud, which, we've made our points already. We don't want to scatter points onto geometry or around constraint points. So we have to plug them into the right hand, because it's kind of like their constraint points, right? We plug it into the left, they disappear. I think that's expecting geometry. So yeah, the scatter surface. So plug it into the right, add attributes there. Okay. Point group, we just made that backward and forward group, so we'll start with backward. Okay. The seed, I guess that's for scattering, because we're not doing any randomization. Oh, we will be, yeah, but I'll set that to 0, but you can play around with that as you wish. So in this alignment tab, we want to be, basically what we're doing here is setting the attribute, this orient attribute. So let's turn that on, a visualizer for it. Okay, so for the orient attribute, we need this to be a marker, and we want axis, so we can see, there we go. Okay, so at the moment you can see they're all by default actually it's following the normals that have gone in already. You can see there's a slight curve to it. If we press spacebar and 3, yeah, you can see they follow the curve there, which is great. Okay, so the cars, when the cars are copied onto these points, they'll follow this orient, right? So yeah, up to now this is good, but we want to change the forward, right? So to custom, and this one, sorry, no, not to custom, just to X is fine for that. You can see if I, between X or Z, oh sorry, one will be X and the other will be minus X, so that they face backwards. Okay. So yeah, this is what we want to play around with, this kind of randomization around the normal. Okay, so the normal is Y in this case. So we'll do something like -5 and 5, just so they have a little bit of twist. Let me just give ourselves some more space there. See that? So they just turned a little bit, and you can play around with that to, whatever you like. And we are going to be, before we do the final simulation, just to explain, in case you feel like, you don't like the results up until, for a bit, I'm going to be placing the cars randomly with a little bit of randomization to the orient. We're going to do a little simulation just to play around with the positioning before the final simulation. Okay, so kind of like a layout simulation, something like that. So this is not going to be the final position before our final simulation, right? So that's fine. Attributes, yeah, that's good. Let's just alt click and drag to copy that. Okay, and then the group, we're going to be changing it to forward. The other side, you can see all of them are following these rules now. However, now we want to change this to custom and change it to -1 in the X direction, so they're going the other way. Okay, you can see this one's going this way and this one is going this way, which is exactly what we want. Okay, now so this is a new system that's been developed for Houdini 18.5, and it's really useful. This is kind of a very common thing that you'd want to do in Houdini, copying geometry to points, instancing, and it simplifies things for us substantially and gives us some nice tools. So another new node which kind of goes with this is the attribute from pieces. Okay, and what this will do is help us to randomly scatter, or, well, in our case, random, but you can do different kinds of patterns to scatter the objects onto these points, and choosing which objects to scatter on which points, basically. So we need to take those cars, plug them into the geometry library. You can see there, okay? And then the points into the left. Let's visualize that. We won't see anything yet, but it will be generating some attributes. And yeah, you can see the name attribute there. Okay, so on here, like I said, we want random. The piece attribute will be name. So we've made name attributes on our cars, if you remember. Here, okay. And let's come down here. I'm going to set this to piece weights, okay, and then click autofill asset name. So there's picking up that name attribute and giving me this handy thing for each one. And basically the weights means that I can have, you know, all that means they're equally distributed, but if I want less of car 10, I can just turn that down and I'll have less of those cars. Okay, so we'll see that in a moment. Let's maybe just while we are playing around with this, let's do less points. Where are they? In the scatter here. So let's turn this down to like 50, just so we don't have so many points. And it should work a bit faster. And then drop a copy to points. Okay, take our points into the right input. Okay, and we need a piece attribute, which will be the name. Okay, that's what we've done. We've just put the name attribute onto our points here, and that name refers to the each car. We're going to pack and instance these. I should make it everything go a bit faster, and then plug the cars into the left input and visualize that. And there we go. We can see we've got a load of cars, and now you see they're following. See, so on this road, maybe if we template the roads, so on these two, they're coming in this direction. They've got a little bit of twist, and then you can see that they are sitting perfectly on the road, which is great. Now, what stands out to me is that there's a lot of these trucks. Okay, so I want less of them. So if I just find the truck was car 10 and just drop the number of them, okay? So we can do that with the attribute from pieces, and in here on this, just drop it down to 0.05. Okay, right now there's none, but if I go back up to my other scatter value, which was 400, I think. See, it takes a bit of time, but it fills out, and we should have just a couple there. I think I see 2 or 3, but we can drop that again if you want even less. You see that just disappearing then. I'm going to go down even further. Let's try 0.05. I just literally want 1 or 2. I think I see 1. Another at the end here maybe. No, let's go 0.01. So I got 2 at least. It's a bit hard to see with everything overlapping. Let me just double check that. Ah, there we go. That should help. There we go. That'll do. Okay, so again, save that and we'll continue in the next video.